A galaxy-abandoned starship rebuilt by a lone human mechanic into a superweapon. The stars were silent. The galaxy stretched endlessly in every direction, a glittering ocean of light, yet most of it was empty, abandoned, and forgotten. Among the drifting debris of lost civilizations, massive starships lay derelict, rusting slowly in the cold dark. Many of them had once been powerful, warships that could command entire sectors. But now they were nothing more than silent monuments to a past that no one remembered. Elias floated in the vacuum of space, tethered to his small maintenance craft. He was a human, one of the last few in this region of the galaxy. Alone, surrounded by abandoned ships and broken machines, he felt both small and important. Bare. Small because the galaxy was endless. Important because humans had a way of seeing things others could not. "Another ghost," he muttered to himself, his voice calm over the suit comms.
"Let's see what secrets you hide."
The ship before him was enormous. Its hull was blackened and scarred, pocked with craters and streaks of frozen plasma. A name, faintly engraved near the bridge, read, "Oblivion." Bah. He glances around in despair.
Elias's heart skipped. This ship was legendary.
The stories told of its power in the old interstellar wars. Some said it could destroy fleets without ever moving from orbit. Desk. Now it drifted silently, almost forgotten, waiting for someone to wake it again.
Elias docked his maintenance craft at the ship's hull.
Her sparks hissed as he sealed the connection. He took a deep breath, the familiar thrill of discovery rushing through him. Most beings in the galaxy would not dare approach such a wreck. It was too dangerous. Too big.
But humans thrived on challenges. He entered the ship slowly.
The airlocks groaned, ancient mechanisms creaking after decades of neglect. The interior was dark, lit only by the weak glow of his suit lights. Dust floated in the air, sparkling like tiny stars as he moved. Broken consoles, torn wiring, and cracked displays told the story of a sudden abandonment. No one had left voluntarily, Elias thought. Something had driven them away. He reached the main corridor, a wide passage that had once housed thousands of crew members. Now it was empty, echoing with every step. Elias's boots made soft thuds on the metal floor. His eyes scanned the walls and ceiling, noting where structural supports had weakened. Here, his human skill mattered more than brute force or speed. Machines could repair, but only a human could adapt, improvise, and understand the patterns of old technology. At the ship's core, he found the first real treasure. A faint hum of energy vibrated in the walls, a trace of a system still alive. Most of the ship's power was gone, but some hearts still beat inside. Elias knelt, placing his hands on a panel. The metal was cold, almost lifeless, yet he could feel it responding to his touch. "This is it," he whispered.
"You're not gone yet." Elias spent hours exploring the ship, mapping its systems in his head. He saw the engine's massive turbines now silent, and the life support chambers sealed and empty.
He traced the energy conduits to a locked chamber at the ship's rear. This chamber would later become the key to his plan, but for now, he only noted its presence. Bah.
Outside, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the human below. Yet Elias felt connected, as if the galaxy had given him a challenge, waiting to see if he could rise to it.
But he was small, fragile even. But humans had one advantage no other species possessed: creativity. He could take broken pieces, misunderstood systems, and turn them into something alive again. He spent days scavenging. Nearby wrecks yielded batteries, circuits, and strange alien alloys he had never seen.
It's two others that came together, and it seemed that they were wondering whether they saw the Judd back into as if they came to be used. However, We heard some of the names of science and battles.
Tiny drones, repair bots, and makeshift power cells. Each one was a step closer to reviving the Oblivion. One evening, as he rested in his maintenance craft, Elias noticed a flicker in the energy readings. The ship responded to his work. Systems that had been dead for decades now stirred faintly. A small console glowed with a dim light. His heart raced.
"Come on, old girl,"
he murmured, smiling.
"Show me you remember humans."
He returned to the ship immediately. The corridor lights flickered to life as he approached. Dust swirled in the sudden current. Panels hummed faintly, responding to his touch. Elias felt a surge of excitement. The ship was waking up, but awakening something so powerful came with risk. The ship's internal systems were unstable. One wrong move could overload the circuits or worse, cause a chain reaction that would destroy everything he had touched. Breath. Yet Elias thrived on risk. Where others saw danger, he saw opportunity. He reached the energy core chamber, the massive room that once powered the Starforge, the ship's legendary weapon system. The core lay dormant, surrounded by protective panels and broken energy conduits. Elias ran his hands over the metal. It was cold, but intact. "You're more stubborn than the rest of them," he said softly. "But I like stubborn." He began connecting scavenged parts, improvising circuits and conduits to channel energy into the core. Hours passed. The lights flickered, sparks flew, but Elias persisted. Machines might fail, AI might calculate wrong, but a human could adapt. Finally he paused. A low hum filled the chamber. The core responded to his connections, pulsing faintly. Elias stepped back, awestruck. The Oblivion was alive, in part, for the first time in decades. And then he noticed something unusual, a faint energy signature, unlike anything he had seen. It pulsed, almost like a heartbeat, deep inside the core. The Starforge was not dead. Not completely. It waited, patient, for someone clever enough to awaken it. Elias's mind raced. Reviving the ship would not be easy. He would need every skill, every ounce of knowledge, and every scrap of ingenuity he possessed. He was human. Alone. But humans had a way of achieving the impossible. He smiled. "This is just the beginning," he said. "You and we'll do something no one thought possible." As he prepared to leave the ship for the night, a sudden movement outside caught his attention. In the darkness of space, a shadow shifted, an abandoned drone, still operational, floated nearby. It hovered, watching. Elias froze, recognizing it as a relic of the old war. Machines like these were programmed to guard, to attack intruders. But Elias didn't panic. Humans were clever. He activated a small pulse device on his suit, sending a soft signal that confused the drone's sensors, beckoned, and hesitated, then drifted away, harmless.
"Good night," he whispered, "and sleep tight, old friend." Elias returned to his maintenance craft, looking at the sleeping Oblivion.
The galaxy was vast. The stars were endless. And yet, here, a single human had found a chance to change everything. The abandoned ship, the forgotten ghost of an ancient war, now had hope. As he drifted off in his craft, resting before another long day, he knew one thing with certainty. The galaxy had forgotten the Oblivion, but humans never forget. And Elias was about to prove it. The hum of the ship's partial systems was a lullaby and a promise. Something powerful slept inside the Oblivion, waiting for the touch of human ingenuity. And tomorrow, Elias would begin the work that no machine, no alien, and no fleet could do alone. Because humans could do the impossible. The oblivion hummed faintly, a whisper of life among the stars. Elias floated in his maintenance craft, staring at the massive hull with wide eyes. The human mind, he reminded himself, could achieve what machines and aliens could not. That truth was about to be tested. He spent the first hours of the day examining the ship's exterior. Burn mark and scar told a story. Some were from battle. Some were from neglect. Elias didn't just repair the damage, he studied it, thinking about how the ship had moved, how energy flowed through its systems, and how he could use that knowledge to rebuild what was broken. He attached scaffolding to the hull and began extracting usable components from nearby derelicts. Small drones hummed around him as he directed them to lift heavy panels or retrieve parts from the drifting wrecks. Each piece was carefully chosen, not for size or strength, but for how it could fit, adapt, or improve the oblivion. This was the essence of human ingenuity. A machine could follow instructions perfectly, but only a human could see the potential in broken things, the patterns hidden beneath chaos, and the possibilities that others ignored. Hours became days. Elias slept in his craft only when the ship's internal systems were stable enough to maintain life support for him. He ate, drank, and dreamed of the oblivion fully alive again. One afternoon, while connecting a complex energy conduit, he noticed something unusual. A faint spike in the ship's energy readings appeared on his portable monitor. His heart beat faster. "The Starforge is waking," he whispered to himself. The Starforge, a legendary weapon system built to harness stellar energy and convert it into concentrated power, had been dormant for decades. No human or alien had managed to activate it fully. Elias, a lone mechanic, had only partial knowledge of its design. And yet, somehow, he was about to awaken it. He set to work. Using a combination of salvaged alien circuits and his own improvisations, he began feeding energy into the dormant system. Every connection he made was deliberate. Every circuit was tested. Small sparks jumped across panels, but he welcomed them. They were signs of life, signs that the ship responded to human touch. As he worked, Elias reflected on the scale of what he was doing. One human, alone, could restore a vessel that once terrified entire fleets. Machines had calculated, weapons had been deployed, alien empires had risen and fallen, but humans had survived. But humans had endured. And now humans could reclaim the past in ways no AI or alien ever imagined. The days were long and the work exhausting. Every repaired system revealed new challenges. Broken cooling conduits threatened to overheat vital circuits. Corroded connectors refused to transmit energy properly. Structural weaknesses caused doors to jam, forcing Elias to climb through maintenance shafts barely wide enough for him. Yet every problem became an opportunity. Every failure sparked new ideas. Humans thrived on unpredictability. While machines calculated, humans improvised. While aliens relied on brute force, humans adapted. Elias's small hands, skilled eyes, and daring mind became the instruments of rebirth. One evening, after weeks of tireless work, Elias managed to power up a secondary system, the ship's navigation and defense grid. Panels lit up with pale blue light, and sensors hummed. The oblivion was alive, though not fully. Its systems were incomplete, but the pulse of energy through its core made the metal shiver as if it remembered its former glory. Elias floated in awe. "You're coming back," he said softly. "Step by step, we're coming back." Down. He then faced the greatest challenge, the Starforge itself. The weapon's core required an enormous power source far beyond what the scavenged batteries and conduits could provide. For days, Elias studied the ship's blueprints and remnants of old manuals. And then, in the drift of the dead starfield nearby, he found an idea. A small star fragment floated nearby, a remnant of a supernova. Its energy output, though unstable, could power the Starforge temporarily. Most beings would have considered it impossible, too dangerous. But Elias smiled. Humans were not most beings. He maneuvered the maintenance craft closer to the fragment, carefully measuring its energy emissions. Using delicate magnetic stabilizers and improvised shielding, he planned to feed it into the Starforge. It was risky. One miscalculation could fry the ship's systems, or worse, destroy the core entirely.
Yet humans had a way of thriving where others feared.
Elias set to work, his mind racing with calculations, ideas, and instincts. Hours passed. Sweat dripped inside his suit. Sparks flew as conduits linked with alien circuits. Breath. And finally, with a shudder and a low hum, the Starforge stirred. The hum grew into a vibration, then a pulse. The ship's metal walls shivered as energy flowed through the core.
Elias floated back, wide-eyed. The impossible had happened. The legendary weapon system was alive, but the awakening did not go unnoticed.
Desperate. From the dark void beyond the drifting wrecks, sensors picked up movement. Small alien drones, relics of scavenger fleets, approached. They had been drawn by the unusual energy signature, curious about the lone human daring to awaken such power.
Elias did not panic.
Humans thrived on challenges. They thrived on danger.
With the Starforge humming behind him, he devised a plan. He sent a small pulse from the ship's secondary systems, creating decoys that mimicked his energy signature. The alien drones hesitated, confused by the unpredictability. No AI or alien commander could anticipate such improvisation. Humans acted differently. They could adapt, think ahead, and use chaos to their advantage. As the drones drifted closer, Elias floated through maintenance shafts and corridors, using his knowledge of the ship to prepare. Panels were rewired, doors locked remotely, and small drones he had built earlier were positioned strategically to act as distractions. The first drone entered the main corridor. It scanned for life forms. Elias watched through a cracked panel and pressed a small button. The drone's sensors were overloaded with false signals. It spun in confusion, then drifted away harmlessly. One by one, the alien drones arrived, each outnumbering him by far.
And yet, Elias turned their numbers into an advantage.
By predicting their movements, exploiting their programming limitations, and using the Starforge's energy as a subtle threat, he forced them to retreat. "This is what humans do," he said aloud. Breaths. "We survive. We adapt. Brain. We win." The victory was small but significant. The Oblivion had been partially revived. Its defensive systems were functional, and its core hummed with potential. But more importantly, Elias had proven a fundamental truth. A single human could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast forces far superior in technology and numbers. As night fell over the drifting starfield, Elias floated in the quiet of the ship. The Starforge pulsed gently, a heartbeat in the darkness. The alien drones had retreated, but they would not forget. Neither would the galaxy. Elias's mind raced with possibilities. By tomorrow, he would focus on integrating the Starforge fully. He would need more energy, more precision, and more ingenuity. And he would have to do it while remaining hidden from those who might exploit the Oblivion for themselves. But for now, he allowed himself a small moment of satisfaction. He was alone. He was human. And he was achieving what no other being in the galaxy could. breath. Outside, the stars sparkled indifferently. Inside, the oblivion stirred. And the galaxy, unknowingly, began to take notice of the return of a human who could breathe life into forgotten power. Elias drifted to a small resting chamber, his body exhausted but his mind alive with ideas. He imagined the fully functional oblivion, the star forge blazing with controlled energy, and the possibilities that lay ahead. A galaxy that had abandoned him, abandoned humanity, would soon learn a lesson. Humans never stay down for long. The hum of the star forge became a lullaby, a reminder and a promise. The ship, the forgotten ghost of war, was alive because of a human mind. And humans had one thing no machine or alien could replicate: the spark of ingenuity, the will to adapt, and the courage to risk everything for a dream. Elias closed his eyes, drifting into sleep. The oblivion floated silently around him, alive and waiting. And somewhere, deep inside its core, the star forge pulsed with anticipation. The galaxy had forgotten, but humans never forgot. And tomorrow, Elias would continue what only a human could accomplish. The oblivion pulsed with life, a silent giant waking from decades of slumber. Its metal walls shivered with the energy of the Starforge, the legendary weapon system, now partially online.
Elias floated in the core chamber, his eyes glowing with reflected light from the humming energy conduits.
He had revived the impossible. But now, the galaxy itself seemed to notice. From the shadows of space, distant flickers appeared, tiny pinpoints of movement far beyond the derelict starfield. Alien scavenger fleets. They had detected the unusual energy signature, the hum of a starship rising from the dead. Hundreds of small, agile ships, unmanned drones, and patrol vessels began converging toward the oblivion. Elias did not panic. Despis. Humans thrived where others feared. Machines relied on predictable patterns. Aliens relied on numbers. But humans could improvise. He activated the ship's partial defense grid. Automated turrets swiveled slowly, lights glowing ominously. Sensors tracked the incoming fleet. Yet Elias knew the numbers alone could overwhelm him. He needed to think differently. He studied the enemy movements, comparing them with the ship's maps in his mind. Then he smiled. "They're predictable," he muttered. "All of them. Too predictable." The first wave of drones entered the perimeter. Sensors pinged rapidly, and warning lights flashed. Elias had already anticipated this. He activated a series of holographic decoys, energy signatures and shapes that mimicked the ship's core and vital systems. The drones hesitated, scanning and rescanning. Their AI could not interpret what was real and what was illusion. Taking advantage of the confusion, Elias maneuvered the Oblivion's partially restored engines to shift positions slowly. It was not fast, but precise. The decoys made the aliens misjudge his movements. One by one, the drones collided with each other or drifted into empty space. Yet the threat was far from over. Prevent. Larger ships approached, manned vessels, armed with advanced targeting systems. Elias floated along the maintenance corridors, rewiring panels and diverting energy through secondary circuits. Breath. He knew he could not rely on brute force. The Starforge was powerful, yes, but still unstable. A single wrong activation could destroy the ship. He needed cunning.
Elias deployed small drones he had built from scavenged parts. They zipped through corridors, hacking alien sensors, sending false readings and creating chaos.
The larger alien ships began firing at what they thought was the Oblivion, but were hitting nothing but illusions. "Humans do not fight like this," Elias said aloud, his voice calm. "We confuse, we adapt, we survive."
As the battle escalated, he focused on the Starforge. The weapon required immense energy, and he had only partially stabilized the core.
He carefully calculated the timing, linking energy from the nearby star fragment into a containment field. Sparks danced along conduits. The metal floor vibrated. The hum of power grew louder, almost like a heartbeat, steady but threatening. The aliens were closing in. They had realized the decoys were tricks. Their sensors sharpened. Yet, Elias had anticipated their moves. He activated the ship's defense drones in coordinated patterns, each move exploiting a logic flaw in the aliens' AI. Predictable patterns became traps. The more the alien AI attempted to correct, the deeper they fell into human ingenuity. One of the larger alien ships fired a plasma pulse aimed directly at the Oblivion. Elias reacted instantly, diverting energy to the ship's reinforced hull plating. The pulse hit, denting metal, sending sparks into the corridor. But the ship survived. Elias adjusted circuits on the fly, rerouting power, preventing overload. "Brew, you rely on brute force," he muttered. "We rely on brains." Then came the moment of truth. The Starforge, fully linked to the ship's energy conduits and stabilized with the star fragment's energy, hummed with potential. Elias could unleash it, but only carefully. One miscalculation, one moment of overconfidence, and the entire ship could tear itself apart. He floated to the core chamber, hands steady. His eyes scanned the energy readings, circuits, and containment fields. Deep inside, he felt the pulse of the Starforge, almost like it trusted him, waiting for the human spark of ingenuity. "All right," he whispered. "Let's show them what humans can do." Elias activated the Starforge, slowly at first. A controlled beam of pure energy burst into the containment chamber, arcing and dancing like liquid light. The alien sensors went wild. Their systems tried to compensate, but Elias's beam was unpredictable, constantly shifting, moving in ways no AI could anticipate. Alien ships fired blindly, trying to intercept, but their shots missed, their calculations thrown into chaos. The Starforge pulsed again, this time in a sweeping arc. Her small alien drones collided mid-space. One by one, the larger ships had to retreat, unable to match the human-controlled precision of the weapon. Elias laughed softly, floating in the core chamber. The thrill of the impossible coursed through him. The Starforge was not just a weapon. It was proof. Proof that a single human mind, clever and daring, could outthink entire fleets. Yet the battle was not over. A massive alien cruiser appeared at the edge of the starfield. Its size dwarfed the Oblivion, and it had weapons that could tear through the hull in moments. Elias studied it carefully. Brute force alone could not win this fight. He needed strategy. He drew on everything he had learned. The ship, the Starforge, his drones, and his improvisation. Precise energy pulses and carefully timed maneuvers. He baited the alien cruiser into firing prematurely. Its shots missed, drifting harmlessly into space. The Starforge responded, a controlled beam striking the cruiser's engines. Sparks erupted. Its systems were disrupted, forcing it to retreat. Elias floated in the core chamber, breathing steadily. The Oblivion had survived the first major challenge. The Starforge had proven its power. The aliens, despite their numbers and technology, could not match a human mind that could improvise, adapt, and exploit unpredictability. And in that moment, Elias realized something profound. Humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated. Yet in a galaxy that valued machines, numbers, and raw power, humans had something no AI or alien could replicate: creativity. The ability to see patterns, to improvise solutions, and to act unpredictably gave them an advantage no technology could match.
This is only the beginning, he said, voice echoing through the corridors. They will return.
Others will come, but humans will always find a way.
Elias spent the next hours repairing minor damage from the battle.
He reinforced hull plating, stabilized energy conduits, and calibrated the Starforge for controlled operation. Every adjustment was precise, every repair a testament to human skill.
As he floated through the corridors, he reflected on the journey.
He had found the abandoned ship, revived its systems, and defended it against superior forces. He had used intelligence, cunning, and adaptability, the essence of humanity, to achieve what seemed impossible. And yet, a small warning flashed on the sensors. More fleets were approaching. This time, they were larger, better equipped, and more determined. Elias knew the galaxy would not leave a powerful human-controlled starship alone for long, but he smiled. Challenges had always fueled humans. Fear had never stopped them, and the Oblivion, powered by a human mind, guided by ingenuity, was only growing stronger. Floating in the dim glow of the Starforge core, Elias allowed himself a moment of pride. One human alone had survived against odds that would have overwhelmed entire fleets. One human had outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outlasted forces far greater than himself. The galaxy may have abandoned the Oblivion. Alien empires may have doubted humans. But Elias knew the truth. Humans never stay down. Humans never stop. Humans never forget how to survive and how to thrive. And as the Starforge pulsed, lighting up the corridors with dancing energy, Elias prepared for what was coming. The final challenge, the one that would test the full power of the Oblivion, the Starforge, and human ingenuity, was near. The galaxy had underestimated one human. Soon it would learn just how dangerous that could be. The void of space was alive with movement. Alien fleets, larger and more organized than ever, converged on the Oblivion. Hundreds of ships surrounded the derelict starfield, scanning for the source of the immense energy signature. The Starforge pulsed within the ship, its soft hum a heartbeat of power and potential. Elias floated in the core chamber, eyes fixed on the readings. He was exhausted, but his mind was sharper than ever. Breath. Every circuit, every conduit, every system had been prepared for this moment. The galaxy thought a single human was weak, insignificant, and powerless. Elias was about to prove them wrong. They think numbers win wars, he muttered. They don't understand humans. He activated the Starforge fully. Energy surged through the ship, filling every corridor, every chamber, every panel with controlled power. Lights danced across the hull, and the hum became a resonant pulse. This was not a weapon of destruction. It was a weapon of brilliance. A demonstration of what a human mind could achieve when paired with forgotten technology. Outside, the alien fleets hesitated. Their AI struggled to predict the Oblivion's movements. It drifted not like a conventional ship, but with deliberate, intelligent maneuvers, using the Starforge's power to create blinding energy pulses that disrupted targeting systems and scanners. Elias smiled. Humans were unpredictable. But machines were predictable, and the galaxy had forgotten the value of unpredictability. He deployed drones strategically, each one a distraction, a decoy, or a tool. Descatations fired blindly, their shots missing or colliding with false energy signatures. The Starforge fired in precise bursts, disabling engines and weapon systems without destroying the ships. Elias did not want unnecessary destruction. He wanted to prove human ingenuity, not carnage. Watch carefully, he said. This is how humans fight.
The largest alien cruiser, a massive vessel bristling with weapons, advanced toward the Oblivion. Elias analyzed its shields, its energy flow, its movement patterns. The AI in the cruiser was sophisticated, but it could not adapt as humans did. Bad.
Humans improvised, humans observed.
Humans created opportunities where none existed. Elias maneuvered the Starforge's energy in sweeping arcs, forcing the cruiser to alter its course constantly. Each movement was calculated but flexible. The cruiser's systems overloaded not because of brute force, but because it could not predict human ingenuity. Small drones attacked, but Elias had anticipated them. He activated the ship's internal systems to create electromagnetic pulses, disabling their guidance temporarily. Alien ships collided mid-space, harmless but chaotic, as the Starforge continued to pulse, its light illuminating the darkness. "This is the human advantage," Elias whispered, eyes alight with determination. Then, a sudden warning flashed on his console. A second fleet, even larger, had arrived. They were determined, organized, and relentless. Elias felt the weight of the galaxy pressing in, yet fear did not touch him. Humans had survived impossible odds for millennia. One more challenge was merely another problem to solve. He activated the Starforge at full capacity, directing controlled bursts at the alien formations. Energy streams arced gracefully through space, disabling weapon systems and propulsion units. Desk. Entire formations froze as if stunned. The humans of legend, tiny, fragile, underestimated, had achieved what no AI could calculate: the precise control of overwhelming power. The alien commanders realized they faced not brute strength, but brilliance. They had assumed a human alone could not threaten them. They had assumed the ship was a relic. They had assumed numbers mattered more than mind. Every assumption was shattered. Elias focused on the largest cruiser. He did not destroy it. He demonstrated control, precision, and discipline. He fired a calculated beam at its engines, temporarily disabling its ability to maneuver. Sparks flared across its hull. The ship drifted harmlessly, powerless. Its crew, or AI, realized that raw force was useless. Only adaptability, creativity, and ingenuity could prevail. "This is what humans do," Elias said aloud. "We survive. We outthink. We endure." He turned the Starforge on a sweeping arc, creating a dazzling spectacle of light across the starfield. Alien fleets staggered, confused by the unpredictability, and gradually began to retreat. They had never encountered such strategy, such intelligence, such control. The Starforge was a weapon, yes, but more importantly, it was a statement. A human mind could command what even empires feared. The Oblivion floated silently in the aftermath, the hum of the Starforge slowly returning to a gentle pulse. Elias floated through the corridors, inspecting minor damage. Hull plating was slightly scorched in a few areas, circuits overloaded briefly, but nothing irreversible had happened. The ship had survived, stronger and more alive than ever. He paused in the core chamber, staring at the Starforge, its light reflected in his eyes. He felt a surge of pride. A single human had restored this ship. A single human had defended it against overwhelming odds. A single human had proven that ingenuity, courage, and adaptability could triumph over superior numbers and technology. The galaxy, which had abandoned the Oblivion, would now remember. Aliens would speak in awe. Fleets would reconsider the underestimated human. And Elias, the lone mechanic, had become the symbol of human potential in a galaxy that had nearly forgotten it. Yet he did not linger in pride. Challenges would come again. Other fleets, other threats, other tests of human skill were inevitable. But for now, the Oblivion was alive, powerful, and under the control of a human who understood its heart. He moved to the bridge, floating past walls that hummed with energy.
The ship responded to his commands with precision. Sensors were calibrated, life support stabilized, and every system was integrated under human oversight. Machines could calculate. Aliens could strategize. But humans could innovate, and that made all the difference. Elias looked out at the stars. Endless, infinite, silent. Yet they no longer felt empty.
The galaxy was alive with possibilities. He had restored a forgotten power and, in doing so, had shown that humanity could rise where others faltered. He activated the navigation system, setting a course for uncharted sectors of the galaxy. The Oblivion would explore, learn, and continue to prove the value of human ingenuity. This was not a warship meant for destruction. It was a beacon of what humans could achieve. Creativity, courage, and intelligence applied where others feared to tread. As the Oblivion accelerated, light streaming across the hull, Elias allowed himself a rare smile. The Starforge pulsed softly, a living testament to human potential. Alien fleets would come again. Challenges would arise. But humanity, small, underestimated, and brilliant, would endure. And somewhere in the galaxy, whispers began. Bursts. Stories of a lone human mechanic who had rebuilt a forgotten starship into a superweapon. Not for conquest, but for ingenuity and survival. Stories of the Oblivion and its master. Stories of what humans could do when they refused to stay down. Elias floated in the bridge, looking out at the infinite expanse. For the first time in decades, he felt truly connected to the galaxy. Not as a powerless human, but as a creator, a thinker, and a survivor. Right. The Oblivion was no longer abandoned. The Starforge was no longer dormant. And humanity, fragile, underestimated, brilliant humanity, had proven its worth once again. "Let's see what else is out there," he said quietly.
The galaxy won't know what hit it. The Oblivion surged forward, faster than any alien fleet could predict, powered by human creativity, precision, and courage. Light flared, energy danced, and a single human, alone among the stars, guided a legendary vessel through the darkness.
The galaxy had forgotten the Oblivion. The galaxy had underestimated humans.
But both mistakes had been corrected. And from that day forward, humans would never again be counted out. The Starforge pulsed one last time, a gentle glow, a heartbeat of potential. Elias smiled.
A ship was alive! Humanity had triumphed, not with numbers, not with brute force, but with mind, skill, and ingenuity.
And somewhere, deep in the vastness of space, the legend of the human who rebuilt a galaxy-abandoned starship into a superweapon began. The stars were no longer silent.